Continue to work on this in Visual Studio Code if you weren't running Parallels, if you weren't a Visual Studio user.
Absolutely. Like if I'm, let's say that I'm the designer role in that, right? And I'm actually making changes to CSS.
Or you're just a Mac guy that doesn't use that Windows.
Or I'm just a Mac guy. That's just my thing, right?
You don't use Windows. You don't use big fat IDEs.
Absolutely. I could just stay here inside of Code, do my edits here, push it up. This is kind of the magic of source control. And it's the interoperability features that we introduced in Visual Studio 2015 RC that enable us to use that same project on both the Mac side of things and on the Visual Studio side of things, or the Windows side of things.
So that was one of the primary reasons for changing the project structure?
It really was. It really was. Like, it was not just that we wanted there to be interoperability between a Mac and a Windows-based environment, but let's be frank, like most JavaScript developers are using tools like Grunt and Gulp and Bower and NPM to manage their workflow. And that's just if you were to do a Bing search or a Google search or whatever your search engine of choice is on, you know, Cordova tutorials or any kind of JavaScript tutorial, they're usually going to make reference to those types of tools. And so we want to enable developers to continue working the ways that they're most familiar. And when they find educational materials online, we want them to be able to apply those same principles to Visual Studio development. And so the idea here was really to make that possible so that Visual Studio as an IDE works the way that JavaScript developers work. Yeah?
Cool.
Cool. All right. So I promised that we'd head on over to Visual Studio and that we would suck that guy on down. So from here, I'm going to go on over to my Team Explorer. I'm going to manage connections here. I'm going to connect to another project. I called that one My App, I think. Yeah, there it is. It just showed up for me automatically. Say connect. Bring it on down. There it is. I'm going to want to clone that guy. We're going to clone them into, in this case, he's just going to C, users, rsalva, source, repos, my app. Okay. Bring it on down. Might take a second or two to bring it down there. Okay, cool. Now we've got it. Now, there's one extra step that you do have to take in order to bring a project that started on the Mac side of things over onto the Windows side of things. So because there's no solution file set up or project file yet when you do it from the Mac side of things, you got to make sure that Visual Studio has the appropriate project structure or it understands the project structure when you bring it in. So this is a new bit that's in Visual Studio 2015 RTM. So this is preview of something that is not in the public today, but will be there in just 2 weeks, is this something like that? Yeah, right? So new project from existing code. And from here you get a nice little wizard, and the first one says...
Is this a Cordova only feature, or are there other things that
take
advantage of this?
I believe there are other features that are taking advantage of this, but it is Cordova that we're going to talk about today. All right? And so we're just going to say, yep, we want to bring in a Cordova project. We got to tell it where to go. Let's see here. I said, in this particular one, it was My App. You can see a bunch of other foobar, hello, test ones that I was using earlier today. Select that folder, give it a name, we'll call it My App, appropriately enough. Finish. And now it's bringing it in there, right? So it's the exact same directory structure that, that we saw back over on the Mac side of things. In fact, I can kind of come on over here to prove it to you. All right, so let's see here. I think I can just do open, open dot. That should open up in Finder. And you'll see here, we got, our dub folder, our SAS files, our plugins, platforms, hooks. You're going to see all those same files right back over here. So it's the exact same directory structure. There's only one file here that you see that doesn't have the little source code icon on it, and that's this taco.json file. This is the extra little bit of magic that lets Visual Studio understand how to kind of process this file. This is really the only file that you need to move fluidly between the Mac side of things and the Windows side.
So what happens, does it, so it's not, it's only in this project folder.
It's on this project folder.
Would you check it back in?
I would check this guy back in.
And then what happens if it gets deleted on the other side because somebody doesn't know?
So
I don't like tacos.
Yeah, I don't like tacos.
That.
Yeah, I want to delete that, right? You know, the beautiful thing about this, I'm actually going to open it here so you crack it open so you see what's inside. It's the simplest file in the world.
Okay.
All it is a single JSON key value pair that says what version of Cordova is being used in this project.
Okay.
So you can change this, frankly, to a different version of Cordova if you wanted to. It so happens that the latest version as of today is like 5.0.2 or something like that, right? And so you could change this and it would automatically upgrade to the latest version of Cordova. So easy to restore if it gets lost, or you can always do that open file from existing directory that we did just a moment ago.
Okay.
That's really the only thing that little wizard is doing in there.
Right.
There may come a point in the future that we decide to add more metadata into this file in order to kind of improve the Visual Studio experience, or maybe even the Visual Studio Code experience, or maybe even the Sublime experience. Who knows?
Right.
But today it's just the one key value pair, and so pretty easy for you to get back in there.
Okay.
So one other thing that you may notice that's kind of different between kind of the RC release and what's on my screen right now and what our customers and developers will see in about 2 weeks with RTM is this dependencies node up here, right? So that dependencies node may be familiar from ASP.NET 5 projects, right? Really all that we've done is we've taken ASP.NET 5 projects and Cordova projects and brought them a lot closer together.
Okay.
In fact, this project system that we're building on today, this is the ASP.NET 5 project system. We've just adapted it a little bit and made some customizations for Cordova projects. So when you're looking at this dependencies node, what you're essentially seeing is kind of an abstraction, a UI abstraction of what is in your packages.json file. And so you'll see here that we're making use of Bower. We got a bunch of NPM packages here, including Gulp. And so not only do we benefit from kind of being able to manage our packages kind of in the way that ASP.NET developers will quickly grow accustomed to doing, but we're also getting access to all of the really freaking awesome ASP.NET 5 code editing experiences.
Right.
So let me show you what I mean by that. All right. So let's say for a second that we want to edit our Gulp file. Here, actually, no, let's edit. I want to edit our Gulp file. I want to edit packages.json. Let's do that guy. All right.
Using the new JSON editor.
Using the new JSON editor, right? So,
which shows light bulbs.
Light bulbs.
Nice.
These light bulbs, so freaking cool.
Are those in the RC?
Excuse me? You know what? Features have been coming out so quick, left and right. I don't even remember, man. I don't even remember. But like with these light bulbs, you get ability to go to the project's homepage. You get nice kind of IntelliSense around kind of each one of the versions. From here, I can kind of let's actually kind of do an extra one here. I actually want to do a scope of this. Well, maybe we can even do it from right here. So if I do Gulp, what's actually happening here is that you'll see I get IntelliSense that says for that particular dependency, what's the current version that's out there? For the current version, maybe I even want to use a couple of regular expressions that help me kind of manage towards the future. And you'll see here, this is matches the most recent major version with kind of tolerance for dots. And so that kind of contextual help really makes it way easier for developers to go out there and be confident that they're using the latest bits that are in the open source kind of community, and make sure that they're future-proofing their code, you know, within reason or within tolerance for any major breaking changes.
Yeah.
Right?
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Super, super cool stuff. So we kind of started this adventure by talking about kind of some of the differences between 2013 and 2015. Right? And one of the things that I want to kind of reinforce here is that change between kind of the abstracted version of the project system that was there with Visual Studio 2013 and 2015 is what we in the industry call a breaking change.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And so it is with only somewhat heavy heart that I say...
And what we as customers just call broken.
That too. So it's with a somewhat heavy heart that I say that you cannot just open up a Visual Studio 2013 Cordova project with Visual Studio 2015. The kind of the welcome news here, the good news here, is that it's actually super duper easy to migrate your Visual Studio 2013 project to 2015.
Okay.
And we will be, I want to kind of provide a little bit of confidence here, a little bit of backing that Visual Studio 2013 is going to get an update here in the next couple of weeks, kind of simultaneous with the 2015 RTM release. Okay. That update will make sure that developers using 2013 can continue using our tools with all of the kind of regular updates that come through Visual Studio 2013 as the kind of years go on. Okay. Right? So you will continue to be able to using the CTPs there. But if you want the new file system, if you want to be able to use interop with Node-based